Okay, wonderful. Let's let them all in. All right, fantastic. It's great to see you people joining us. I'm very excited about this webinar. We've got about 160 people actually registered for the webinar tonight. And as you know, what's happening with webinars and podcasts, they seem to be shrinking a little bit as everybody in the universe is launching them. But we will have at least 25% more of the people listening on recordings. We'll have another 50% listening to podcasts. So it's kind of cool. So I'm really pleased you joined us. I'm going to open the chat box and I'm going to ask you, please type in your name and where you are from, because I want to make sure you can use the chat and that we can get questions. If you have any questions, that you can submit them.
Well, there is royalty in the house. Sarah, there's royalty in the
And
house.
we've got oh my gosh. Okay, West Virginia, Oregon, Tennessee, we've got New Hampshire, we've got Florida, we've got Maine, New Jersey. We've got, oh my gosh, people from Canada, Georgia. This is exciting. We've got people from all over the country. So what I want you to do is, this is your webinar. I want you to type in your questions. Okay, Tori from North Carolina sent us a smile. Why? We're not sure, but we think the weather's good there. All right, so I have these wonderful presenters with me. I'm going to first introduce, oh, by the way, hello, I'm Sarah Cooperman. I'm the CEO of SCW, and I've got Daniela helping me run this webinar tonight. And Tricia Murphy-Madden has been in the fitness industry, although you can't tell by Zoom, for over 30 years. So pretty darn cool. She's she was honored with the prestigious Fitness Leader of the Year award by IDEA. She's co-founded Fit Pro Programming. It formerly was Xavier, and she does it with her evil sidekick, Lauren George, that pretty girl that's here. Not you. I'll stop smiling. And then we've got, she was formerly the on-set director for Amazon Halo. She worked extensively with IDEA to plan their scheduling. She's just a bundle of energy. We just love her. And I was really excited when Tricia brought Lauren George to us. She's got her master's degree, and she's the co-owner of Fit Pro Programming and a social media genius. So maybe she can help us with some things. She's been in the fitness industry over 16 years. She has launched several successful businesses, including a fitness company, Fit Biz Club, Pulse Point Bar, blah, blah, blah. She also helped co-create. She created Pumped Up Strength. She created Human Reformer and the Musicality Method. And she was one of the co-creators of Bar Above. Very exciting. Then we have my dear, dear friend, Manuel Velasquez, probably the only person in the fitness industry who can eat as much as I do. Love this guy, favorite fan to go to dinner with. He is a prominent choreographer with Water in Motion. He choreographed Platinum for about 4 years for us, and he still is a master trainer. He is the faculty leader for Yoga 1 and 2 certifications, as well as Tai Chi. He has been teaching in the industry, I think it's like 3 decades now.
Yeah.
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 The guy knows what he's doing. He's 200-hour yoga certified. He's Scott Pilates certified. He is the lead instructor. I believe that's the correct title for Rancho La Porta in Tecate, Mexico. We love Manuel. All right, I did this as fast as I possibly could. I want to give you guys some statistics, because what we see is you need to keep teaching Pilates. And if you're not teaching it now, you need to learn some new methods and you need to keep teaching it. Do you know that the market size in 2014 was $14.7 billion? And if you look at the growth of Pilates, which has been 11.5%, that's a compound annual net growth, which means it grows from year to year. We're talking that in the year 2030, that's 7 years from now, it will be not 14 billion, but 420 billion market. So keep doing what you're doing. There are over 42,000 Pilates and yoga studios in the USA. That was just in 2024. More are opening. If you're thinking about opening one, do it. Do it. 11.86 million people participated in Pilates in 2023. And then it grew 15% the next year. And we think it's grown even more since. It was and I'm going to start with you, Lauren, because we were just chatting about ClassPass. ClassPass says Pilates was the most popular workout in 2023. It was up 92% from 2022. And we don't even have the statistics yet for the growth from 23 to 24. So I'm just going to, one last statistic, and then I'll kind of shut my mouth here. Do you know Yelp searches Pilates increased 25% from 2024 to 2025? 25%. So talk to me about ClassPass, Lauren. How was ClassPass influential in Pilates growth?
Sure. Well, one, I love a good statistic. So I love all of those. And I think especially as people working in the Pilates industry or considering getting in the Pilates industry, all of those statistics are hugely positive for us. So we were discussing right before this about, how have we gotten more people to try Pilates? And I think that ClassPass and programs like ClassPass, which allow participants to easily studio hop, whether we like that or not, right? There's mixed feelings about it, really take down that entry or barrier to entry, right? It gives people the opportunity. They can go, they can drop in, they can try a class. And I think one of the things that is helping Pilates continue to grow is that we're not putting Pilates in a box. There's so many different fusions. Their studios have their own vibe. Some have colored lighting and pumping music, and others are more chill, and some have small group and some have large classes. And so I think now that people can more easily try multiple variations of Pilates or different styles of Pilates, different styles of teaching, different types of communities, that's helping people to find their Pilates community, and getting them to stick with it and find out that, oh, well, maybe they took a different style of Pilates or from a different instructor that might not have fit their vibe, but then they went to a different studio and now they have found their community. And so I think the ability to try different styles and different locations with something like ClassPass, or a very accessible first class free or first week free, if that's how your studio is offering it, is really help grow the market with those numbers that you just talked about
and solidify it. And Trisha, you're just in LA, I believe, right now, and you went to a P-Volve studio and you've gone to a Pilates studio, and you ate shrimp last night and you're allergic. So would you
Turns out
she's serious. She's serious. You think that's a blush. That's
yeah. I'm not that good at blush makeup, I don't think.
But talk to us about what you're seeing Pilates and what you're seeing in LA and how you see the growth has evolved and why.
Yeah. I mean, I think that LA is always a good place to sort of see how trends are evolving. We all know it's a trend right now everywhere. So coming into a market like New York or LA and seeing where it's at now is really valuable. And of course, what's really interesting about the ClassPass concept is that that's exactly how I was taking the classes. I took 2 classes yesterday on ClassPass, and then tomorrow I am doing a P-Volve trial run. But what I saw here is there's still, these old school traditional Pilates classes on reformers. And the studio I went to yesterday, 4 men in class versus gender males, which is actually quite exciting in this market. But the class price point was at I think it was $44 to take the class. So it was very expensive, but it was also very traditional. No music, very straightforward cueing, not a lot of persona. Then the next class I took was a P-Volve class, and I was there this morning as well. And I walked in and it was a party. And P-Volve isn't necessarily Pilates, but it's certainly borrowing from traditional Pilates and infusing itself with sort of dynamic movement and Pilates. And the energy in that room was palpable. The price point was slightly less, and you could just tell that they were focused on sales from the moment you walked in, where the Pilates studio didn't care. They're like, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, and if you can afford it, great. If you can't, bye. But at P-Volve today, they really did a nice job of creating an environment where I wanted to join, even though there's not even one in Seattle when I go home. I also loved watching the consumer in the P-Volve classes. the consumer in that P-ball class is somewhere between 22 and 38. I was definitely one of the older ones in the room. I thought the other interesting part was the outfits. I felt like 90% of the room had a very specific aloe outfit on, and walked in a very specific shoe. There was a very, specific audience for that. 2 days ago, I was in Laguna Hills to go to Disneyland, don't ask. And I took a Club Pilates class. And, of course, Club Pilates has been the fastest growing Pilates studio brand for long before COVID, long before any of this sort of boom happened. And they do a really nice job of falling somewhere in the middle. And you see a much broader audience in a Club Pilates space. And then tomorrow, before I go, I'll take another solid core class, which is definitely club music, club lighting, what Lauren was talking about. So what's happened for me in a major market like this is they've said there's a consumer for each type of Pilates and each budget, and we're going to nail it, but we're not going to shy away from being obvious about who we are trying to sell Pilates to and why. And I love that, because I think the businesses that kind of go after everyone end up pleasing nobody.
It's really nice when you can find these niches. Now, Manuel teaches not only a mat class for Pilates, but he also teaches reformer. And it's at the ranch. So everybody pays like a really nice lump sum to get to Rancho La Porta. And then they take the mat classes. Now, talk to us about the mat classes, and then, Manuel, we're going to evolve into the reformer programs that are being charged for as personal training.
Sure, absolutely. Well, our the ranch is a great source of knowledge for people who wants to know what is it, how does it work, and how make them feel. Our math classes every night, every day at 9 o'clock is a progressive introduction. We call it Pilates Mat Fundamentals. It's designed for people who has no experience or very limited experience, and it progresses from Sunday through Friday. We go into the foundational principles on Sunday. We build up on Monday, Tuesday, and it's growing up. We share the class two instructors, which make people feel more engaged or confident, because you create like a little niche. I start with the same group on Sunday, and I stay with my instructor, my trainer, until Wednesday. I had 4 cool days of progressive work, and then the next instructor, and we kind of course, marketing. The next instructor is going to take you into a different level. It's exciting. As people are expecting, oh, what are we going to do now with all the extras that we just learned? And that's how it works. It's more informational, or yeah, it's a lot of information the first 4 days when you're going through the principles, the breathing, the alignment, the centering, the core engagement, the precision, whatever the contrology part of the original program, which was used. Pilates wasn't called Pilates when Joseph Pilates was alive. It was called contrology then. What does that mean? How that works in your body? How can you refer to that? Not only for Pilates, because this is how then we hook them into the personal trainer or into the private sessions. Because the principles of breathing, alignment, and centering, core strength, are kind of universal for anything that you do. Then if you master those things or those skills, you can sell any other session for strength training, for balance and coordination, for any other thing. And that would make people really, really kind of, oh, Pilates is something. Oh, this is not only the studio, the little tiny little socks that I like with to match my top. It's just I can do this, and now maybe I can think about going to that paddleboard class and in the yoga pool, or I can maybe.
And Manuel, I hate to interrupt you. I do want to know about the age group, because this age group is so different from what Trisha was talking about.
Listen, I am working with my people, 84 and plus.
He doesn't look a day over 78 though.
No, listen, the other day we were celebrating the 79 years old, a birthday of one of my clients, 79 years old, and she looks like 40 something. And when she said she was 79, I was like, wait a minute. And she said, I had this, and that, and I suffer from this, and that. And she was doing a Pilates reformer. No, she was doing the tower, the Cadillac tower, level 2, and she didn't have to adjust anything, or we didn't have to adjust or make it easier. She was like, oh, core. And when I make a comment about, this is important because we are aging, and we are aging, and my joke is always, we are aging by the second. And she looked at me like, what are you talking about? Like, are you serious? Look at my age and look what I can do. And that's the average. My average person here is around 60 to 65 years old. We do have a lot of people younger, but every week we receive 160 guests. 80% of those are around 65 to 75 years old.
Oh, wow. And what are you charging for the privates? And I'm very glad we got a few little comments in. They fixed the echo, so thank you very much for that. I'm glad you guys were able to clear that up. But what are the prices that they're charging for the privates? Do you do private mat work, or is it only private reformer work?
Private mat, reformer, or Cadillac or tower. We do the tower too. And we have the reformer who can be transformed into the Cadillac. We do have the traditional Joseph Pilates equipment, the old school framing, but that is for one-on-one people, one-on-one sessions. If we have to do private group sessions, then we have the reformer who transform into the tower or into the regular Cadillac or into the regular reformer. Prices, people pay. We used to charge for any reformer classes $25 regularly. We After COVID, we stopped doing that and offered them for free, which we bring us this new challenge, which is we only have 6 reformers, and we cannot admit more than that safely. That said, we have to increase the number of classes a day to be sure people don't get mad when they arrive to the room and there's no space. And because now we are not charging, we're going to start charging again maybe next summer. For the privates, 130 for one person, 160 for two, 180 for three or four.
Wait, slow down. Do that again.
130 for a single reformer class or any private. 160 for two, 180 for three or four. That could be.
Okay. Yeah. I actually go and take yoga in Aspen. So I find, Trisha, that I am definitely the oldest one in the class always. And it's a bunch of aloe. People are all dressed in aloe, and they're all in their 25, 35. And I go with my husband, my short little Jewish attorney, and it's a candy store for him because he's never seen anybody so beautiful. But what they're doing is they're charging like $45 for you to get into the reformer class because they only have 6 reformers in the room and they have a full wall of mirrors. It's fascinating. So I would encourage all of you that are on this call, if you are, throw it in the chat and throw in what you're charging for Pilates mat classes, reformer classes, privates. We love to see that because it helps everybody, and learning to teach those different techniques is very, very important. I'm going to share really, really quickly with you guys a quick little video that we put together. So here we go. So now you will see at the far end of that video, you will see Charlene. And unfortunately, Charlene is in Australia right now. and she's not able to join us because of connectivity there. It's kind of a pain. But she started a wonderful program. It's Charlene Huss. I can't pronounce the last name. Let's just call her Charlene. And it's Core Spring. And it's a really cool piece of equipment that's got actually the coil that you find in the Pilates reformer, and you use it independently without having to have the reformer. And Trisha Murphy said to me, Sarah, this is not an infomercial. And I was like, and Lauren and I told her to shut the heck up, right? Because the human reformer idea is also to have that same type of tension, that rebound that you get from an elastic band that's covered, that people can do and simulate the reformer program. Because if we're going to try to charge more for a program, it's very hard to charge an extra price if you don't provide them an extra piece of equipment. So since you're the creator of that, Lauren, what was the thought behind it? Don't make it an infomercial, just because I'm scared of Trisha. And just share with us how you did it and how you use it, and how easy is it for people to be able to use this program and start it and get certified.
Yes, thanks, Sarah. And Trisha, this was a group effort really between Trisha and I, so Trisha, jump in at any time. But really the whole idea was, we saw how many people loved Reformer, loved to take Reformer classes. We're talking about Reformer. I have trained on all of the equipment and personally love taking Reformer, but I move a lot for my husband's job. And so I've often lived in small cities where the closest Reformer was an hour to 45 minutes away. And so we really started to look at how can we bring the benefits of Reformer to as many people as possible. And we were introduced to the Flex Cord. And as I honestly, just like many fitness programs, started to play with it and realize how many exercises could be replicated. And then we started to go, from there and think through if we had other small props. Once you really started to look at the repertoire or the library of exercises, we really could start to simulate the Reformer very, very closely and reap those benefits. Obviously, like you talked about earlier, for a lot less expensive, a lot more portable. And as we see the popularity of Pilates grow, we also see Pilates being offered in a lot more places. And so the demand for instructors, I was actually reading an article yesterday to do some research for this webinar, and it was talking about how the demand for instructors is still so high, and so many Pilates studios are still having trouble filling that demand. And not just Pilates studios. I teach at a predominantly bar studio here. And honestly, for Human Reformer, one of our biggest clientele, or the people that are getting certified the most and where it's being offered the most, are freestanding bar studios, because now they can put the word Human Reformer and Reformer on their schedule and use the bars that were already in existence with just a small piece of equipment and start offering classes. And like you said, if you're going to charge for more, you need to show how it's different from your other classes. So we've also had many of our studios or gyms that have started small group Human Reformer classes. So one of our instructors runs a health club up in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and on their group fitness schedule, they have a few classes just from a business perspective, right? Giving ideas here. They have a few classes, but then they actually bought booty kickers or standalone bars and set up Human Reformer stations, just like you would walk in and have your own reformer. You walk in and you have your own Human Reformer station with the bar and the flex cords and their equipment and a mat, and they charge significantly more for that and offer, I think they're up to like 10 classes a week and have a wait list. So it's gone really well for them and for the instructors as far as being able to have the demand for the classes. Trisha, did you have something that I missed?
Yeah, sure. We got a few comments, and that she offers free mat classes.
Okay.
For a small group, but for small group reformer people, she offers 6 people to a group, $35 for a drop-in, and actually it's $45 in Aspen, so that kind of makes sense. And it's as low as $25 in a package if you buy a package. So just to give, privates are $65. This just gives you an idea. We've got another panelist that she said it was $80 for 10 classes. That's $10 for one class, or $8 if you buy that package. And then we've got Human Reformer. They said they're charging $7 for drop-in, or 10 classes for $50. So if you're a member, even if you are a member, you got to pay a little bit extra. And that does that. And Trisha, please jump in. I apologize if
Well, no. I was just going to say that I think, and this is, I know it's not about politics to me at all. This is just about like looking at forward trends. So, I think when you look at something like human reform or mat classes that won't have a price point above $10 or something that you can offer at an affordable rate. Whenever you move into a place where you could be moving into a recession, you really have to think through what your consumer can afford and where they'll make the cutbacks. So in my mind, and this is not, again, I don't want it to be an infomercial for Human Reformer, but one of the reasons I love Human Reformer, and I teach at True Fusion where they have Pilates classes. I teach at a lot of studios where there's lots of different Pilates options. You want to look at what is going to happen what is predicted to happen. And that is that people will start to spend less on certain things. And so when we know that's going to happen, how do we not see that as sounds terrible, as a negative in this case, right? There'll be people that will have some discretionary income, but what if you could bring those dollars into your facility that they're spending out in the market currently? What if you could bring what they will in the end decide they can spend on Pilates into your spaces with something more like Human Reformer, where you can maximize and have 40 to 45 people in a class, and whether it's included with your gym membership, which is a really huge selling point, or you charge a minimal additional fee like the $7 to $10 range. Now that consumer has a choice to make instead of just cutting Pilates out. So I think sometimes the timing, you just have to look at sort of finding the upside to a downward swing in the economy.
No, I think you've really nailed it. And that's where we need to sell the experience and the results. And there was a wonderful study by Breath Education. They did a study, and of course it was a very small group, but it was interesting. Many people start Pilates, number one, to improve their strength. All right, which is interesting. That's 63% of the people. 61% said that they do it to increase flexibility. So it was check all that apply. And then another 61%, it's just to improve overall health. And that really nails, Manuel, what you're talking about. It's not that sexy, I want to wear aloe and I'm 30 years old and I don't want to look at their bodies, even though my husband does, of course. All right. So it's also, according to WebMD, it's one of the best ways to lose weight because it's approachable. It's also safe because so many people are on those AOM weight loss programs, anti-obesity medications, Ozempic, the Bernjova. I've read, what is Oprah doing? I'm so disheartened. She used to come to my studio for years. Years and years. I went to her birthday party and she's pushing stuff on Instagram. I want to throw up. Okay. Yeah, but Sarah, how do you really feel? So if we can sell something that it's not so much here, this is in vogue, this is this and that, Manuel, you're seeing this at the ranch. You're seeing these people like dive into this program. Do you know why they're really joining in the program? Because there's so many classes going on, and we know that the HIIT programs are declining. Yeah.
Well, and I'm looking at our schedule. We offer 245 classes a week. They have a lot, and there's about 7 to 9 sessions every hour by the hour. Now they have a lot to choose from, and the mat classes, the equipment classes are really, really popular, and people fight to get in, and that's why we have more tower classes, more reformer classes. In addition to the regular mat level 1 or 2 every day. What I found is people feel the intensity of the work, but the gentleness of the approach is quite the transformation point here. What makes this so attractive? They feel that they are working really hard, but it's not painful as it would be maybe on the weight room. They can feel muscles that with a little tweak from paddle feet to B feet to some little tweaks into exercises that are simple. They feel really different muscle engagement, that powerful muscle engagement that they go, oh, oh, this is gonna hurt. And I always announce, yes, you're gonna be in the infrared maybe tomorrow or in your massage later today, because yes, it's gonna hurt. You're gonna feel things that you never felt before, probably tomorrow. Yeah,
And
that's very powerful.
and you guys hit around the webinar. Throw in the chat of what you think is selling Pilates in your area. Because to be honest with you, I think everybody on this panel, we were really surprised post-COVID to see this surge. Or maybe I'm just going to speak for myself. I was really surprised. I'm like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? It's not Zumba. It's not Bosu. It's not HIIT. With our mania conventions, what we see a lot of decline in are the HIIT programs, and we're seeing a surge not only in Pilates. Sorry to change the subject just a bit, but step. We've had to add step classes, and I'm trying to find a way to bring reformers to mania. So if you know any reformer manufacturers out there that want to join our conferences, we want them. It'll be really great. But throw in the chat of the things that you think are really drawing people in. And we just got from Kim, she says reformer seems to have just showed up in Southeast Florida. And that's interesting because that tends to be a little bit of an older demographic as well. Now, how can Pilates fit into personal training? So like, and I'm not just talking about it in a reformer personal training sense, like we were chatting with Manuel. I'm talking about how do we take some of the movements that we're learning in Pilates, apply them with our personal training clients? Manuel, what do you see going on?
Breathing, alignment, the awareness, because Pilates is all mindfulness, and mindfulness means that you are aware of what you're doing. Your mind is present. You are thinking about, you're feeling about what you're thinking about, what you're feeling, and you're thinking about how you correct yourself into X, Y, and Z forms. For personal training, that's medular. You cannot improve muscle endurance and strength or anything if your form is wrong or if your alignment is off. That for first, a personal trainer can maximize benefits or maximize, connection or engagement with their clients, training them simple cues in alignment and correcting, centering core strength, how to engage properly before we go into push and pull, and that's medular. That's kind of transpire in every other.
Modular. Yeah. And the other thing is Monique brought this up. Actually, two different people brought this up, that people gained weight during the pandemic. And it doesn't just come off in the 6 months when suddenly you can go outside, because you could walk. I lived by walking my dog. I'm closer to my golden retriever than I am to two of my 4 children. Okay. It's just what happens. But they're seeing these larger individuals feel more comfortable, feel safer, feel more controlled. And then we also heard, I'm not sure no, I don't think it was Nancy. I think it was Jenna. Jenna talked about, she said, college students really like the MAT programs because it's less expensive and it's something they can do and feel successful at. And you don't have to be the athlete. You don't have to be able to get out of breath and start doing like power moves and bench pressing hundreds of pounds.
Well, if you do the right things, if you do the exercise with the right form in the right way that they were meant to supposed to be performed, you will notice that you won't be able to do more than 8 to 10 repetitions without feel that you're gonna die in the next 3 seconds. When these rock stars, when these people in Beverly Hills, and you see in People magazine, oh, my trainer made me do Pilates and I did 200 of this or 50 of that, then you think, that trainer maybe is catching money, not really teaching well Pilates. Because if you do the right thing, you will notice that you won't be able to do more than 10 repetitions of anything without feeling like, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, that's very interesting. We've also got I'm going to throw a little bit of a twist in here. What challenges may limit Pilates growth? Or what do we see happening? I always think about, okay, now I'm going to spend money. I'm going to buy a reformer. I'm going to get certified. I'm going to blah, blah, blah. I want to talk about the longevity of Pilates, which I think we've already kind of hit on, that it hits all age groups. It can grow with you. What are the limits of Pilates that you see, Tricia, that might be coming about?
I mean, I think that the limitation is first talent. Pilates, I'm not disclosing where I took the Pilates class yesterday, but Pilates for a long time was known as sort of that thing that happened in the room that very serious people participated in. And while that's still incredibly valuable, and the class I took yesterday was very good, um, you have to have a persona that drives the space. You have to have somebody, if you're going to hold people in a room for 45 to 50 minutes doing these things that are so focused, and the micro movements are so important, and the placement of the foot and all of those things are so important. You have to have an instructor who's both great at detailed cueing and a cueing structure, but also has a persona. And then, both Lauren can tap into this as well, but I actually believe the reason that we see Pilates having this big surge, and I think we have to be careful and to see what is helping support the surge, is musicality. The instructors aren't walking into a quiet room. You need to have energy. People are doing something very challenging, and so the balance of pace and volume of vocals versus volume of music and how the music is used and selected is actually important as well as the personality. So to me, the risk of not finding talent that can drive your classes is really big.
Well, I think in a nutshell, every fitness program is personality driven, instructor driven. If you have a great instructor, and the best way to get those great instructors, Abby Apple wrote that amazing Pilates certification that SCW offers, and it combines videos that she's taught, etc. You get that personality, you get that technique, and we pick it up during training. I'm always taking other people's class. It keeps me refreshed. It keeps me energized. I walk into my class with a new focus, and it's important. Training's important. But I'm going to talk to you guys. I'm a little scared out there. We have a shortage of instructors. So you guys, if you've been teaching for Pilates as long as the four of us have been teaching Pilates, charge a little more, okay? They need us. The clubs need us. Work a deal, okay? Because we want to stay in this industry. So many people left the industry during the pandemic. So we're getting kind of not near the end, but kind of close to the end here. Why is Pilates, do you think, essential to fitness? How did it just explode like it has? Don't all jump in at once.
I'll jump in for sure. I mean, I think we've talked about a lot of reasons why it's so popular right now. And for so many of those reasons, I think it has the longevity, and people are seeing why it's essential because they're having fun and they're going to classes. It makes it easier to stay committed. And we always say that the best workout, right, is the one that you enjoy. Well, now hopefully the one that you enjoy is also the one that's helping to improve your posture and helping to improve your core strength, helping you get off the floor when you fall, helping to rehab your pelvic floor after you have babies. So there are so many benefits that maybe aren't even the sexy benefits, right? But the sexy lights and the fun vibes and the aloe hats and the community that are getting people into class are then also giving them those not so sexy benefits. And since it is something that people can do for the long term, even if, at first they're also doing lots of other things, I think we see that when it's time to maybe let go of HIIT, or your body's saying maybe we should do that once a week, Pilates is there. And Joseph Pilates, help me if I mess up the quote, Manuel, he says Pilates doesn't get easier, you just get better at it. You get better at finding those connections. So there's always the next level of mind-body connection that people can make to continue progressing in their Pilates practice. And so I think that will make it something that stays around forever in the industry, but then also is why so many people stick with it for so long. And hopefully we're just getting the next generation to start even earlier.
All right. And how are we going to keep this going? Any ideas, guys?
Well, you keep making it accessible for everybody. You will see, when you look Instagram right now, there is huge class. Everybody's advertising it, and huge classes not for the elders or for the trendy young, but for guys too, as Lauren says. There is a lot of classes now for football players, for basketball players, and even though some of those videos sometimes are filmed in a funny way just to make people see how a big athlete, big strong man athlete can barely move a preformer cord or cable or string, they are really bringing into the table the possibility and the window for everybody to explore. And it doesn't matter age, gender, or whatever. And I think that is a great thing. If you're 79 years old and you can do pull the springs in the tower, but you are 25 and you are doing the same feeling, the same challenge in different bodies, different ages, but big challenge and big sense of power. It's here it's here to stay. Yeah.
Oh,
Right. You're
wonderful.
seeing those athletes, they're getting the benefit of working all of the slow twitch muscle fiber. So again, we get them in with the sexy, but then we teach them the science of why they're seeing all those benefits along the way and keep them coming back. Sorry,
Yeah.
Trisha.
And Lauren, you
Oh my
brought
God,
up
Janet, that's hilarious.
yeah, and you brought up the class pass idea that it really helped to flourish. P-Volve, Trisha went there. Everybody knows it's Jennifer Aniston. I can't live without my little People magazine app. And then
Yeah.
you look at Gail Bannister Munn, who's one of the favorite presenters of all the Mania conventions, and she actually is the recovery trainer for the Jets football team. And she's using stretching and strengthening that come from Pilates movements. So it's kind of coming from all angles, and it's really beautiful to see. Trisha, you were going to say something?
I was just going to add that there's a lot of products now, and you and I shared an email exchange with a company called Frame. There's a lot of products now for direct to consumer that aren't infomercial style, that they're more of a Peloton model, or tonal model, where you're buying you're investing in a consumer's buying a fairly large, reformer for their house, and then mounted is sort of the digital experience. And I think that actually will help grow the market share because, people get more consumers doing it in their home. The more that people see that, the more that drives people into the clubs, and participating.
There was another research study that was done because, I always do those trends workshops. I did the keynote presentation for FBA for Succeed. Great conference. Love that conference. But I was looking at trends, and there is a wonderful organization that focuses on home gyms, how to work out in your home gyms, home gyms, home gyms. And in the research study, it was over 60% of those people that have a home gym go to a gym. So stop being scared of that. If you've got a home gym, I've got a home gym, I'm going to the gym. I just do it when it's raining. God knows I don't do it when it's snowing. I'm out there skiing. So so let's look at this. You guys, I'm going to show you a quick video here. Here we go. So you guys can all see that we have manias in 7 conferences, 7 cities around the country. Midwest, of course, is in Chicago. We have Florida coming up just next weekend. We're doing a special thing, a wonderful special thing. I'm going to throw it in the chat right here. We're doing a special thing for college students. We're offering some free registrations to the convention if you can prove that you're a college or university student. And you can just email us at staff@secwfit.com. If you have a college student that needs some education, we've got these wonderful scholarships to get them to go to Florida Mania, which is, like we said, May 2nd through 4th. And then we've, of course, got Atlanta coming up in July. And then end of August, we've got Dallas, because we needed to pick a place that was really cool and comfortable in August. And then we're going to Chicago at the beginning of October. And then 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, we, of course, have our last conference of the year, Boston. So I want to thank these wonderful people, Trisha, Manuel, Lauren, and of course, Daniela, who ran our certification for us, and for joining me today, everybody. Here we go. Here we go. And I also want to thank you guys who contributed to us in the chat. We appreciate it. And Charlene, have a great trip in Australia. We love Core Spring. Human Reformer, Manuel, you're a god. Thank you both, Lauren and Trisha and Manuel. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.